Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA. I'm KISMA, and today's episode is called Things We Would Have Never Done Without the Lockdown. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Dun, dun, dun.
Hi, Nick.
Lockdown. When you say the word lockdown, I always hear it's the
Dragnet.
The Law and Order.
All right.
Dum, dum,
Yeah, I'm thinking Dragnet because I'm back in 1979. And let me just say, I know we already called it lockdown in one of our other episodes. I think it was the most recent, how we're handling the lockdown. And just to put some perspective, we're not really locked down. I think people are doing an amazing job finding their sense of freedom and purpose and happiness. And that's a little bit what I wanted to talk about today, what showed up in my world to give me a little sense, a sense of greater lightness that I wouldn't have had, and to hope that everyone can find it.
The innovative spirit.
The innovative spirit.
The human spirit.
The human spirit is astounding.
It really is.
I think we have to start there. The human spirit is astounding.
Yeah.
You know, Zoe's in New York City. I don't actually know if she's doing this, but I have other clients and friends in New York City, and they're like the 7 p.m. clap for all the frontline workers like that. People have personally said to me, I look forward to 7 p.m. when we open our windows and clap for all the medical workers and frontline workers. That's so New York. It's so amazing.
Yeah, the birthday parades. Those are another one. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Right?
The porch concerts. I see that with a lot of my friends from the orchestra. They're playing on their porches.
Yeah.
And they're finding new ways,
New ways above and beyond, I think, what would happen. But that's what the human spirit does.
That is what the human spirit does. We're a really fascinating breed. We are.
We're a breed. Is that what we are?
We're a species.
We are a species.
Yeah. And fascinating at that. So class of 79.
Class of 79. So one of the things that happened for me that brought a lot of lightness is, I had the class that I graduated in 1979, revealing my age. I'm quite old. We had a reunion this past summer, which was a hoot. I took my younger sister Martha as my date. You weren't invited.
I wasn't. It wasn't really even an option, was it?
No, it was just no, we're not doing that.
I'm going to do this. There was never any kind of would you come along or would you like to come along? There was none of that. It was just no.
It was just I was going. I knew Martha would want to go, and it was really fun. And there's I don't know. I'd be so curious to hear from all of our listeners about your high school. I think there was something magical about my class. And when I was even back after the reunion, I was going back. I went to Wintersville High School. I lived in Steubenville. My best friends from that area, my close friends, there were other Serbian last names like Zelic and Pinovic. And then there were my Italian friends and my Jewish friends and my Polish friends. We were a mix. We had the coal mines and the steel mills. The steel industry was very big there.
But did everybody hang together? Or was it like a band thing where that's what I noticed in my school. It was there was totally. Albanians, and then there was a whole bunch of different,
no, we all
mixed in bands.
We all mixed in different ways. So there were the football and the band and all that. And I'll talk about, but it was very normal to have friends that were Serbian too, or Italian or whatever. So there was that. And then because of the generations, I think that our parents, came from, a lot of them from the Depression. So there was very much that energy, which you will see in every generation of, we want our kids to have it better than we did. And now we're in a place where maybe we're wanting our kids to have it better too much, to where they lose their resiliency and their strength and the toughness of figuring it out. But I feel like there was a sense of security of everybody knowing each other's parents, knowing a little bit of back end, knowing the businesses that I don't know, there was like a pod of, here it is right here in this Ohio Valley that is unlike anything else. And I'm sure other people feel the same way, so anyways, it kind of got stirred up for me at the reunion. I was like, oh, this is so lovely. It was so cool to see what everyone's doing. And some people are doing the same thing that they did back when we were in high school, and others are off being doctors and running businesses and selling businesses and like all sorts of cool things. But the spirit, like we said, the human spirit was there. So I'm just going to use first names. I get this invite.
Are they changed to protect the innocent?
The first names are not changed. They're just there. Come on, guys, you can deal with it. So I get this invite from Lenny, who listens to the podcast. So I'm giving him a big shout out. Like, I'm just so impressed.
Lenny
listens to it.
That's so exciting.
He listens to the podcast. And he sends an invite for a happy hour. And I'm like, oh, this could be cool. When do I do happy hours? Like, for one thing, it's mostly East Coast Central Time, and I'm here. So by the time it's happy hour there, it's like 3 p.m. here on Friday. And I'm usually still working. I was like, no, this seems kind of fun. And so we show up on Zoom, and I'm on Zoom, all the time. And some of them are finding their ways. Like, it was so cute. Leanne's like, I got to get my grandson or grandkid to help me with Zoom. Like, it's just so adorable. And the first one, I think it was just kind of stunning, like watching everyone be the same, but how many years later, and trying to like seeing where the guys connect in a certain way and the girls connect in a certain way. And then we all connected. And then I think we've had about 3, maybe 4. One of them I couldn't make, I don't think, but anyways, it's happening towards during the lockdown. And just as this connection builds, even though I would say like, I'm the far out one, right? Like,
yeah, I think that's safe to say.
I think that's pretty safe to say. Yet, and so we might have different political views or different health views or whatever, but at the end of the day, there is a connection. And there's, I think, a deep respect and a deep love and a deep caring, and also kind of like, wow, this is so cool. Like, all of a sudden I'm seeing like what Garen's doing over in North Carolina, or Doug's doing in Pittsburgh, and Roberta's still Roberta being like her amazing self, and Sandy still makes us all laugh. And Leanne is as cute as ever. And Lenny, I think on the calls, Lenny and I are the most quiet. We start just kind of watch, and then Danny chimes in, and Gail. And it's just like, it is so fascinating to watch how the conversation goes.
What do you really notice about it? Like, can you lay one out for us? Like, what goes on?
Well, somebody would say, hey, do you remember that time we went skinny dipping over at the country club?
You did that?
And I'm not going to answer that. and then the story about, I'm not going to mention her name, but getting caught by the security.
While skinny dipping?
While skinny dipping.
Oh my goodness.
And then one of the gals, who doesn't happen to be on this happy hour, but just like stood up to the security guy, like completely naked, saying, my parents belong here and we're allowed to do this. And in some way, shape, or form, the security guy believed this girl, or was just so happy to have a girl standing there naked with her hands on her hips. I mean, things like the stories that came back, I was like, when was the last time I thought of that? And then the consensus is always like, it's a really good thing there were no cell phones back then.
Oh, man.
And I think
I concur.
Anybody listening who went to school during a time where there were no cell phones, you kind of, I bet, have taken that moment. You're like, oh man, we're so lucky.
Oh yeah.
And it's a different time. And we say that, right? You do, like, there will be no more skinny dipping at the country club with a cell phone, because that photo could get posted up on LinkedIn, and who knows? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic.
No, I don't think you are. I mean, that is one of the things that like our newer generations are dealing with is anything that they do can be captured and duplicated on the internet and put out everywhere, and it can really destroy people's lives. And we're also, this is really interesting that you bring this up. As a result of that, is there's a lot of public shaming around those things.
Right.
Like, you'll see somebody behaving really badly, and then it gets blasted all over. And then that person's, their life is like severely disrupted. And there's this social justice that says, well, they did something really bad and so they deserve it and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, maybe. But at the same time, it's like, wow, it's really hurtful. And I don't know the rest of that person's life.
Yeah.
I don't know what that person was going through on that day. It doesn't excuse what they did. But, I don't know that some of this is warranted, and then you just see them and then they become a meme, and then it's like it's a social media, goes viral all over. And it's rough, man.
Yeah.
I come back to exactly what you said is I'm really happy that we did not have those things when I was that age.
Yeah. I mean, that was just one. I'm not going to give away the stories, right? Because I think that's I think there's a confidence here going on.
It's a little too personal.
It's a little, well,
where is the lady that stood up though? Did anybody track her down?
Oh yeah, I know exactly where she is. I'm just not going to reveal her identity.
She doesn't show up to the call zone?
She was actually in a different class, a little bit higher.
This is only 79.
This is our little.
So your sister wouldn't be allowed.
Well, I'm not saying she wouldn't be allowed. She could come in as a guest, right?
As
this
a
little
guest.
happy hour is class of 79. I don't know. I don't want to give away the rules or say people aren't invited. I'm sure they are, but it just happens to be this is the pod that's showing up.
Oh, that's really funny.
And so then, it all started with this texting thread. Joe's texting his amazing breakfast, which usually includes pork and bacon. And then I text back an avocado and somebody's KISMA's a vegetarian, watch out, and it's everybody's doing their thing. So what for me, the overarching thing is we're all so different and we are also allowed to be different without that judgment of going back and forth. And I feel like it's opened up this inclusivity because I'm always so fascinated how people think and what they do in their lives. This is what I do all day long. And just we're all entitled, everyone, to have our beliefs and to allow other people to have our beliefs. We're entitled to debate and to ask questions and to see things from a different perspective. And sometimes we will and sometimes we won't. But even when it can be very different or very connected, we agree, we disagree. It's just, I think, to go back in time with a group of people that you grew up with and all they want to do is bring a little lightness and joy. It's pretty stunning.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really easy to feel, I think, to feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
My friends, the friends that I really keep in touch with are from college and some of them, from my music friends, from when we were in music school. And it's just so easy to go back and to just feel so comfortable. My friend John, we were roommates together for several years. We had the big party house. Tim and Melanie listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily friends in college, but they were friends of or relatives of friends, and kind of knew them and then get to know them better. And it's it's just so easy, and it really is just kind of nice when everybody can just have some fun.
When everybody can be them, and show up. I mean, there's something very special and very accepting about it. And to know that, maybe one day we'll all get together. There's a little plan for a reunion. We'll see if that actually happens. I think it would be a blast. But it's I don't know, some things matter and some things don't.
Yeah, that's very true. What else would you have never done without the lockdown?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm pretty much in my schedule. As you know, I think that, because of you, we're eating in a lot, eating good food in. Obviously, we're all eating in right now, but I don't know that I'd be eating. We're great eaters. We're healthy eaters, but every day consistently, thanks to you, I've been feeding myself well.
Yeah, I would have never learned to be as consistent with cooking.
No.
Super easy to be we don't have anything. Let's just go out. And we could still just order out, but it's now that I've planned ahead,
because of the shopping thing.
Yeah, it really taught me to how to plan a little bit better around cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I still would have gone down the Korean temple food road. I was already on that before all this happened.
Right.
But I don't know that I would have taken it so seriously.
Yeah, you really did.
Korean temple.
That's a great cookbook.
It really is. Yeah.
What was that plum green something sauce we had to wait forever for?
Oh yeah, it took forever. Fermented green plum sauce. Or no,
how many of you have that handy in your
fermented
cabinet?
Green plum extract? Yeah. Well, yeah, I would have brought the 3-pack. Like I should have bought the 3-pack. There's different flavors of it too, but I didn't know at the time. You know, it took forever to get it, but now that we have it, we got it. Remember that tomato one, the tomato and noodles? Ooh, so
very good.
So there's that for sure. Yeah, we did some Zooms. Like we kept in touch with each other as well through a Facebook thread. We did it through a Facebook thread, very Gen X. But we would have never Zoomed together and, just get everybody on. It's like, we kind of miss each other, and I miss them more because I'm out here in California. Right. They still see each other in Michigan, but probably not as often and certainly not during this.
Well, in our group of high school, I don't think any of us see each, I know that like Gail and Sandy are closer and Roberta might see, and we've all seen each other in the summer, but it's not like, I think in this pod, Danny's in Baltimore, Joe and Garen might see each other. But no, like everyone's got an extremely full and busy life.
That's so cool.
And so I think the magic of it is, and perhaps this is what the magic is of in the lockdown is like, we're all finding a couple hours a week to come in and meet and just laugh. Like just laugh. That's a really powerful medicine.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. Along with
the laughing
someone's
Buddha.
Drinking tequila or whiskey or whatever. I'm usually
it's a little early
coffee.
for you, right?
Yeah, so like I got my coffee. But it's just to laugh and to enjoy and to have some memories and to be connected and then to be able to take those memories and then move them into the future of what it is we want.
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. So, for all of you listening, maybe it's not your high school, maybe it's not your college, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's somebody else. I know everyone is doing exceptional things to be connected. Yet I do think there's got to be room for joy and happiness and laughter and a little bit of kidding and some memories and just to anchor back into why we do what we do. And what's most important.
Yeah. It's really easy to connect through pain and, the common pain or suffering or anxiety. Yeah. It's really because it's like, especially with something like so overarching like this, like, it's like if you don't know what else to talk about, like you'll just, this is the new small talk in some ways.
Right.
And it's nice to look beyond that, and just see what's really going on in there.
Right.
One of the cool things I got to do, my sister texted me about a week ago, and they decided to do a project. She teaches at Cranbrook. She's one of the dean of academics there, and teaches a few classes. She's a history teacher, and one of the things that they're doing is documenting. They're like, this is a really unique human experience. We're going to document it through stories. So they're teaching all the kids to do podcast episodes.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they're supposed to interview somebody without with hopefully somebody who would be having a different experience. Some people having their grandparents, other family members, and remember that's one of the things about that age, right? Is your circle's a lot smaller.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody's having the same experience pretty much, going to the same high school. Well, they're looking for somebody outside of that to interview and just say, hey, like, what is this about? And I thought it was really cool. One, that they're doing that. There's a website online called StoryCorps. It's been around forever, like pre-podcast. I wasn't familiar with it, but now that I'm checking out, it's really cool. It's just people interviewing people and learning about them and telling their stories. And my sister, she knows I have a podcast. I don't know if she listens regularly. I got a little nervous when we were talking about it on our family Zoom for my dad's birthday. They're like, oh, yeah, your podcast. I'm like, did I say anything about anybody? Did I? I'm not sure if I did. I'm sure it's fine. But my family's really fun. Like, we're such a funny breed. Anyway.
There we go with that word breed again. What's going on with that?
I don't know where that came from.
Breed.
Maybe I picked it up.
Maybe you're transmuting into another breed.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, this is getting weird. Go back.
But going back, she knew that I had a podcast and brought, and wanted me to talk to the kids about interviewing people. Like, how do you talk to people?
Yeah.
And I thought at first I started to think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, like we interview people on here. And I'm always a fan of interviews here and listening to interviews. I think it's really cool to listen to conversations. It's one of the reasons that we have the podcast the way that it is. Like, I think for both of us, it just would not be as interesting to just talk.
Right.
But it's so much more fun when we have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it got me really thinking about the dynamics of that. And I got a chance to teach 2 classes about, and do segments about interviewing, about asking, how to ask questions, like how to set it up. And like also one of the really interesting things that we got into was the energy. Like how to like really look for the energy in a conversation and be able to follow that enough to pull out the cool little pieces and the details and the things that they might not talk about otherwise. And also to spark some, in Marie Kondoisms, to spark a little joy between the two and kind of look for that mutual area where you can both kind of geek out on something and have some fun with it. It was really cool.
That's so neat.
And it also made me think about just how powerful questions are. Like, that's what it came back to. A lot of their questions were about like, do I stay on the track or do I go off on the trails or how far do I go off? And, it just really made me think about, the questions that we ask and how those questions can guide and inform our lives. And it just made me think, wow, like this is a life skill. If you learn how to have a good conversation, like you can change your whole life with that.
Well, one question, the quality of your questions, right?
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah. So that was fun. I would have never got a chance to do that without this.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing. Well, I think for me, it's just going back to, again, being able to get a little bit silly, connect with people that are from my past, but now in my present. And, they're amazing. Each and every one of them are so much fun. And having these little text threads that make me laugh in the middle of the day, like even when I don't have time to respond, there's just something about that care that goes through a group of people. Yeah. It's pretty special.
Are we, so shout out to class of 79, Winterville?
Winterville. You're
so
still
sorry.
Like in Game of Thrones. It's Wintersville. Class of 79.
Sorry.
And some other people like on my Instagram feed and Facebook following Spanish McGee and connecting with him there. And of course, my friend David. And
Spanish McGee's from... Yeah. Oh, I see him on Facebook all the time. I was wondering who that was.
Isn't he cool?
Yeah, Spanish is cool.
Yeah. So a lot of cool people from the class of 79, Wintersville High School.
Wintersville.
Not
Winterfell.
Not Winterfell. Oh my God. So for all of you listening, for my friends out there.
You don't even know what high school I went to, I'll bet.
No, I don't. We're not talking about that tonight. We'll do that another. I don't care. We're warriors over here. We're the warriors.
We're the warriors.
Oh,
well, we were
funny.
the chieftains, actually.
Yeah, no, different. Yeah. The Ohio Valley, giving a shout out. Amazing place. A lot of strength, resiliency came out of that area.
Yeah,
really did.
I can definitely agree with that.
So my illuminated thought is laughter really is the best medicine.
Yes, it is.
It's great. So if you're not laughing out there, everyone, find someone to just take you back to the silliest of times, like where you're almost embarrassed, and laugh, because it's a really, really good thing.
Well, shout out to the class of 79. We love you.
Yeah,
and,
my little thread, my happy hour people, you know who you are. Thank you for doing that. And for those of you out there, if there's something that you want to share, send us an email, hello@illuminationpodcast.com. And if there's a topic you would like us to cover in the near future, hello@illumination.com, illuminationpodcast.com.
Yep. Awesome. Namaste.
Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.